Are you struggling to let go of someone you love? Hi, I'm Kevin Van Leer, and I am so excited to answer this question of how to let go with you here today. I'm going to answer it in three stages. First, I'm going to talk about the question of what are you actually letting go of? Next, I'm going to talk about how to let go. And lastly, I'm going to explain how you move forward. Now, I imagine you have a lot going on, so this is going to be a no fluff presentation. I want to get right to it. Today, you will learn what you need to know so that you can gracefully and lovingly release that person you love without wasting a lot of time and effort. If you're struggling, if you're in emotional pain, if you're unsure how to move forward in your life, then you want answers now. So the tools and information I'm going to teach you today have been around for more than 40 years. However, until recently, this unique program was only available to a select few. Rebuilders has acquired this program, and now we're opening access up to people like you, so you too can feel better fast. Now, I know that's a bold statement, but after working with so many people, I know that what I'm saying is true. But I would rather that you hear from people like yourself that have successfully and quickly recovered. I want you to hear what they say. You are going to hear from over 20 people today talking about their experience of going through divorce and how they did it. They are people that within a matter of weeks transformed from struggling to being happier than they have ever been. So to get this started, please listen to Denise and John talk about their transformation.
I was just reading my journal and I thought, there's no way I was like this just 10 weeks ago. My first note in the journal actually says, I honestly can't even get through the first page of this book. I've been putting off dealing with my divorce for 3.5 years now. It's still devastating. It still is a devastating feeling. I don't think I'll ever come to terms with it. That's what I wrote.
So let's take that. Where are you today?
Oh my gosh, I feel joy again for the first time in several years.
I am doing so much better comparatively to where I was 11 weeks ago, 12 weeks ago. Kevin, when I took that test the first time, I was at the lowest point I think I'd ever been in my life. I mean, I was just completely devastated by Katie wanting to have, asking for the divorce caught me completely off guard. I really thought we were going to work on it. Felt completely alone. Had, a few friends that I was talking to a little bit, but and I've been able to really reconnect with myself. I had been completely lost in that marriage. Completely lost in trying to make her happy and ignoring my own needs and forgetting who I was. I feel like I have the tools to move forward and to deal with these and to handle all of these thoughts that come into my head and all these pressures. Yeah, I'm feeling great, man.
Okay, here's a surprising fact. Modern society teaches us to have unhealthy relationships. We learn from our parents, friends, movies, books, and more about how to be in a relationship. We take this information and do the best we can. And now divorce is in our life. We feel like failures. It isn't your fault when you're immersed in a culture that teaches us how to have unhealthy relationships. See, there's no required class for being in healthy relationships. It isn't until divorce wakes us up to the fact that what we have been doing isn't working. You used every tool in your toolbox to have a relationship that lasts. But guess what? What if I told you that there is a Home Depot for relationships and living life well? There is a world of tools available, and that is what we help people with. You see, I like to say that we teach wisdom, and wisdom is two things: awareness and kindness. There are simply thoughts and feelings going on inside of you that you don't realize. And when you see them, when you become aware of them and see what's going on inside of you, you will never go back. It is like a secret door is open. This process changes you forever, like it did for Denise and John. So today you have a unique opportunity to learn this system and learn exactly how you can move forward. However, please understand this isn't for everyone. If you want to struggle, if you want to figure it out by yourself, if you want to burn out your friends talking about your divorce, then this isn't for you. It works for people that want to learn and grow, people that are going through a difficult period in their life. It works for people that are willing to do a little bit of work to get a life-changing experience. So who is Rebuilders International? Well, we're a team of people committed to helping people recover from one of the most difficult events of their life. Our coaches and class facilitators have backgrounds in training as therapists. They are trained in individual and group support as well. And they are experts in dealing with the effects of divorce on people like you. Also, they've been through divorce and understand personally how difficult it is. We also have a number of people working behind the scenes to help you recover efficiently and effectively so that you can live your best life. Now, again, I'm Kevin Van Leer. I myself have been divorced twice. The second divorce was in 2018, after 14 years of marriage and 2 children. The first divorce was hard, but the second one devastated me. I found the Rebuilders program after 8 months of struggling to figure it out on my own. I was lucky. It changed me for the better. Since then, I have become a divorce coach. And then I did an intensive 2-year program to build my skills even further. And since then, I've helped thousands of people. I co-authored the book, The Rebuild, which has been read by thousands. And I work daily with people individually and in groups. One of the things I love about my work is that I get to meet people in their darkest days. Some people, even just 1 week later, say they are happier than they ever thought possible. You too can experience this incredible transformation. Now, I'm telling you about myself and what I do, not to brag, but to show you that you're not alone, that I and many others have been there. I understand how hard it is, that no matter the circumstances of your situation, if you are struggling with the effects of heartbreak, I may be able to help. Okay, so what is letting go? What does that really mean? So if you're struggling to let go, it means that you're holding on to something. It's different for everyone as to what they are holding on to, but here are some ways of saying it that will likely resonate with you. When you married, you became a couple, a union, and you and that person became one. You merged. So letting go for some is moving that special person from inside of you to outside of you. You again become your own person. Now, another way to think about it is that sometimes people think that the only way to love someone is to hate them. However, anger at someone means that they are still inside of you. They are still affecting you. So what we find is that when people truly let go, it's not that they love or hate that person, but they are indifferent to their ex. It is letting their ex live their life and be themselves, and you can be you. So here's an example. When I was going through divorce, I was really angry. And I didn't want to be angry, but I was. So my ex would come and pick up the kids. We have 2 boys, and she would come to the door, and I could just feel the rage building very quickly. I mean, it was like a matter of 2 minutes before I felt like I was going to explode. I just couldn't stand to be around her. So about 3 weeks into the program, we'd worked on our grief. And I had gone to the program just wanting to deal with my anger. Well, I couldn't believe how much of my anger was tied up with my grief. And so we did this exercise to let it out, to release it. And I would guess probably 80% of my grief dissipated in a 1-hour exercise. Now, the way this really showed up for me was that the next Wednesday, she came to my door to pick up the kids. And I remember looking at her and thinking, she looks a lot like my ex-wife. Like there was clearly this place where I had gotten to, which was like, I could let her just be herself from now on. Her future is not part of my future in the same way that I wanted it to be. A third way that people describe having let go is this. When you married, you created all of these hopes and dreams for a future with somebody, maybe family get-togethers or growing old together or traveling. For me, it was to have a 50th wedding anniversary. But guess what? Divorce is a loss of expectations. It is letting go of the future you planned. In fact, here's a quote by Joseph Campbell that exemplifies this idea. We must let go of the life we plan in order to accept the one that is waiting for us. Now, letting go is not forgetting the past, and it doesn't mean you still don't care about somebody. When you have let go, you have turned the page to start a new chapter in your life. It is not about rereading previous chapters. So if your subconscious is what's holding you back from letting go of someone you love, then how do you actually do it? So people wanting to let go of someone they typically love do one of three things. They turn to things like books, videos, podcasts, YouTube. In other words, they are looking for tools and information, quality content. It's smart. We know that people that do this know that they can't keep doing what they've always done and expect a different result. Another thing some people do is they look for support. They talk to friends and family about what's going on. Maybe they turn to other options, Facebook groups, online forums, local groups. And this makes a lot of sense. Divorce is very isolating. It's confusing, and there's a lot of shame. So talking with others, especially people going through a similar situation, makes a lot of sense. And the final way that people try to recover is by seeking out an expert. Often, this is a therapist, counselor, coach, or leader in their church. Some of these experts have been divorced themselves, and some are really good. They act as a guide during this difficult time. So if you've done any of these things, then you should be proud that you are taking steps to move forward. Divorce is really hard. It's often overwhelming, and any step toward a better future is progress. However, when I talk to people, they often report trying one of these things and not getting the result they wanted. Here's why. If you combine any two of these components together, our research shows that people accelerate their recovery process. They grow more. For example, if you are reading books and attending a support group, then you are learning and getting the support of others. You get the benefit of not just one mechanism helping to recover, but two. People get more powerful recovery faster by combining two components. So if you get expert coaching and quality content, then your recovery will also be faster and more effective than doing one of these alone or sequentially. Now let's listen to what Margaret and Diane have to say about combining good content with the right community.
I found the class really valuable. One of the best things about it was that the community. I mean, by the time it got to like the 9th class, I was like, I really care for these people. But there's so much value in learning this unique stuff and having people to connect with on it. When the other people in my life, I can talk to them about it a little bit, but they don't get it as well.
I mean, every class, I got something out of every single class. Yeah. And it was nice because the next class, they ask you if you have any questions, what did you get from it? It was nice to hear what everybody else had to say, made me feel like I was normal, It wasn't just me out there fighting this alone. I mean, you guys have no idea how much you've changed my life. Seriously, how much you've changed my life. Like I told you, I kept trying to get in for counseling, and they kept saying, no, it's next month or a month later. And for some reason, Rebuilders came up, and I usually don't click on things like that, but I had a strong urge. I just did it. You called immediately. That made me feel like you guys really cared. I was able to cry. It was okay. You have no idea how much you've changed my life.
Okay, so combining good content with the right kind of group is great. What happens when you combine all three components of high quality content with a strong community and expert guidance, your recovery is off the charts. It accelerates even more dramatically than just doing 2 of the 3 options. The hurt and pain fades away. The obsessive thinking shifts to a new future. You let go of the person you love in a graceful, loving, and highly effective way. This is the sweet spot. People see results that they didn't think were possible. When you have all 3 components, community, coaching, and content working together, you reduce the effort, the time, and the energy needed to effectively recover. These people have the power of all 3 elements supporting them as they go through the recovery process. Now, I'd like you to hear from others talking about what happened when they combined all 3 components. Just for clarification, you'll hear them talking about Ann and Nick. They are 2 of our expert coaches that facilitate our classes. So let's listen to what they have to say about the combination of all 3 components.
I think there were many things for me, Kevin. Number 1, it was important to safe space. Number 2, to know there were other people, like you weren't alone. Ann was the greatest. I think she has so much insight to people, and, she shares so much information, right? It just made you feel like you weren't the only person.
Mm-hmm.
There are other people that experience things, some better, some not as good as you. And we just learn from each other. We get courage from each other,
Mm-hmm.
And there's healing that takes place.
The book was helpful, but really having the classes really augmented so much more. And, like I said, I read the book and that was helpful, but going to the classes with Nick and with everyone else just raised it up about 5 notches.
So if you want to let go of someone you love and you want to do it right, make sure you give yourself the best chances to recover. Combine high quality content with a strong community and an expert coach. These things will release that subconscious that you aren't aware of and allow you to transform quickly. So let's talk in more detail about each of these 3 elements. Many people try something in one of these areas and it doesn't work for them, so they assume that that method doesn't work. Instead, I want you to know what to look for in each of the 3 components. So first, let's talk about the tools and information that you need to successfully recover. First, you want to make sure that it's high quality, proven information. There's a lot of information out there, and it's often based on one person's opinion or rooted in some unproven philosophy. You want information that has been refined for a long time and proven by thousands of people. Second, the material needs to be comprehensive, not just focused on one thing. Divorce affects people in a lot of ways. It isn't just emotionally difficult, it's also psychologically difficult. For example, just focusing on self-worth or anger is helpful, but people need to learn new tools. We don't know what we don't know. So find a system that covers a broad spectrum of the critical information. Third, the new tools and information need to have a structure to them. A bunch of disjointed information only adds to the confusion people are often dealing with. Instead, you want information with a plan, a step-by-step method that deals with the most important and useful information first. So Rebuilders uses the RIFT system for developing high-quality content that works. It is a comprehensive program that gets underneath not just 1 or 2 things, but really the source of all the pain. It gently guides people through a step-by-step process that works. This is a 4-stage process that's been developed for over 40 years for people like you going through divorce. So let's listen to some people talking about the high-quality content they received and a structured plan made a difference for them as they learned to let go.
What we learned is rare. I've done a lot of healing, a lot of growth. I've been through divorce before. I went through a divorce course that went a year before. I've always tried to take advantage of the opportunities that come my way. I really think Rebuilders is unique, and that most of what you learn, it would be good for anyone to learn, but it happens that going through divorce is the ideal time, I think, to learn it when you really need it and you're most open. And
it's like it gives you that map so you can kind of locate yourself along this journey. And that was Absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it.
The sequence of things that you work on, that's a limited period of time, and you work through this sequence of things, and you can go back and rework them if it moved too fast or whatever. But I think the group experience and the things that are taught in sequence, I think I would just highly recommend.
Okay, so now let's take a moment to understand the support aspect of your recovery. Just as high quality content is important, it's also important to have the right kind of support system. Many people think that support groups and recovery groups are the same thing. They are not. A support group is a group of people with a common interest. People join support groups to meet others and find connections. In-person divorce support groups are notorious for hookups or to find a new date. Often there's a lot of unsolicited advice giving and complaining about exes. It is more difficult for there to be monitoring by the group leader as well. Also, groups run by volunteers are far less effective. Often they are missing the content and the expert coaching. Also, many people join support groups and spend months, if not years, only to leave still not feeling like they truly recovered. This is because they joined a support group, not a recovery group. A recovery group is different. It is a group of people focused on healing, working towards a goal, working together to understand and learn, to help each other along the path to healing. You can be vulnerable and honest with each other. You get perspective. Recovery groups are not for people looking for a date. They are looking for people to be healthy and not repeat the cycle again so that they can be healthy in their next relationship. So a support group is more of the same. But if you combine high quality content with a strong recovery group, you will see amazing results. People have a plan that they're all working on together in a recovery group. Each person is not only learning new tools and information, but along the way, they are getting a structured support system. People are there for the right reasons. They encourage each other. They learn from each other. They grow together. So let's hear from some people talking about how important the right community is for them.
Divorce is hard. Separating is hard. Having kids in the mix is hard. You need support. And your parents are not going to sit there and listen to you complain about this for the next 2-3 years. They just won't.
The group experience was really good. Especially in the beginning, it was really good. During the times when I was, I don't know, I had a lot more loneliness and I wasn't as comfortable being alone. So it was really helpful to have people to talk to, people to call.
If I could just pour out my heart, is that you've got to go through meeting the other people in the class, having that face-to-face with everyone, hearing other people's grief letters, hearing their anguish, and then you feel like, oh my gosh, that's how I felt too, and I didn't even know it.
Yeah, I think it was in the beginning of it. It meant a lot to me to feel like I wasn't going through it alone.
Regardless of what happens, we have a really unique group. And I think probably every group thinks their group is unique, but I think ours is pretty special.
It makes you realize that you're not the only person going through it.
I think the group setting is wonderful. I just think it's so helpful to, be with people that have gone through it. And even like Nick and yourself going through it. It's like a different level of understanding because not many of my friends have gone through it. And in my immediate family, I'm the only one. And to have that camaraderie, I guess.
I made the mistake of reaching out and leaning on my friends. And as much as they cared, they just got tired. They couldn't carry the weight. It was too much to carry. And I really wore my relationships thin by my level of need because I needed so much. I was bleeding out my eyeballs at that point. And to go to a support group where everyone has that same level of need, it felt really good. One, because it normalizes the need and it makes you realize you're justified. But two, it gives you a path forward in terms of not feeling alone. So I highly recommend it.
So you want to work with a group that focuses on recovering from heartbreak, not one that tries to prevent it. Okay, so as I mentioned before, people often seek guidance from a therapist or counselor. They think that any trained mental health expert will be able to help. What they don't realize is that very few mental health professionals are trained to handle the wide variety of issues that come with divorce. Many are divorced, and there's many that are relationship therapists. Yet they assume that if they understand relationships, then they understand the pain of uncoupling. So you want to work with someone that focuses on recovering from heartbreak, not someone that tries to prevent it. Next, I would suggest that you look for a guide, a person that has experienced divorce themselves. Wouldn't it be better to be guided by someone that has been where you are, to know that they have experienced the pain? Someone that has put in the work on themselves and can therefore guide you because they have been there? Next, isn't it better working with someone that has worked with many others before? Someone that is knowledgeable and understands the wide range of issues that come up? You need someone that knows what matters and what doesn't, so that you aren't going down paths that are unnecessary. Isn't it better working with a guy that is an expert in divorce recovery? Another issue we hear about a lot is that people start working with a therapist or counselor that is critical and judgmental. The last thing you need is someone that tells you that you're doing it wrong, or that you shouldn't be feeling or thinking that. So look for someone that is kind, compassionate, and understanding. Someone that is skilled in creating a safe, supportive environment for you. And the last thing I urge you to look for when seeking a guide is to find someone with a plan. People typically spend months, if not years, in therapy only to feel unwell. They spend $100 to $150 per week looking for answers. That's $5,000 to $7,000 a year. They may better understand their childhood or how it influenced their attachment style, or they have better skills in calming their anxiety. Often they report that they have spent lots of time and money doing crisis management. Each week they come and talk about what's on their mind. There's no plan, there's no goal. They tell their counselor what's on their mind. And it's a weekly private chat with someone you're paying to listen to you. So there's no plan. You go until you feel that it isn't working, or you're well enough. So find someone that understands you and can move you through the process in a logical, kind way. Let's hear from some people about what they liked about their coaches.
I was telling Nick that I really love the way he taught the class, and the communication, the humor that he puts into all these subjects that are not that easy to talk to or talk about, but in a way that is comfortable for everybody. So it's really nice.
No matter what a participant says, she's never lost for words. And she's never lost to actually ask another question to kind of peel back the onion, like one more layer.
He is a wealth of knowledge, and he is understanding, and he is caring. And I greatly appreciated the time and the effort that he put into it.
She's the right balance of presenting material and then letting us talk about it and, hash through it, and kept us on course.
Nick is awesome. Very intelligent guy. Very, very intelligent guy. I thought he was fabulous.
Anne was the greatest. I think she has so much insight to people, and, she shares so much information, right?
I love Nick. Good guy. Love him. Knowledgeable, very compassionate, empathetic.
Anne was fantastic. I liked Anne a lot. Yeah, she was very good. Yeah, I think she did a nice job.
Okay, great.
Love him. I don't even know. I don't even have the words.
Honestly, I'm so amazed as to how much Anne would let people share, because she's also very in tune as to how many people need more support than others.
For one, Nick puts stuff in words or says stuff that maybe I would never have thought about myself,
He brings in humor. He's compassionate. He's thoughtful. he's insightful, and he shares, he gives you feedback to help you move forward. I would just highly recommend him.
He's a gift from God. I mean, hands down.
Nick's awesome. Yeah, he I like his joking around. He makes things light.
Not only does he know his stuff in terms of the teaching, but he seemed to be really perceptive and hone right in on us each individually.
He's a very compassionate man. He understands where you're at. And he actually has the ability to speak to you from where you're at, not from where he's at.
Nick was great. I mean, he was attentive. He was thoughtful. He had great insight and great knowledge.
Oh, he was phenomenal. He could explain things very well. He related to us well.
You particular, you, Kevin, and Anne, to me, were the program. And you were always available. I mean, as many hundreds of people are probably going through the program. If I had a question or, I would call or text and you would always get back to me. And that is so important too. And maybe that goes back to the buddy, is you feel like someone really, you're not just a number, you really are valued in this process. And that is unique. I think that is unique in all that I've been through.
Okay, so now let's take a quick minute to talk about the difference between therapy and coaching, because a lot of people are confused. So the short version is that coaching focuses on your future and therapy focuses on past pain. Now, they do have a lot of things in common. So they both have active listening, they're collaborative, they teach you to be more aware, they're empowering, usually they're non-judgmental, and they're supportive. The difference is that coaching teaches tools and strategies. It focuses on getting you results. It's action-oriented. It's designed to help you grow and prosper, and there's a schedule. And I'd like you to hear from some people about their experience in therapy versus having a group experience.
I have been through thousands of hours of therapy and nothing has helped me like this group. And then you're talking 10 weeks, 20 hours.
I've gone to a therapist in the past and having the one-on-one, it's completely different. I mean, yeah, they're giving you tools or they're talking to you. You have one person to listen to you, but I really appreciated the group session because you got to listen to other people's stories and experiences. And even when we were talking about the chapter that we just read, and I said, thank you for your questions. The questions that you asked were questions that I didn't even know I had, that I wouldn't have gotten the answer to because I never would have asked that question.
And I did have a therapist I was working with, and I didn't feel like it was helping me the way that it should have. I actually found myself feeling more helped by the class and the other things that I've been doing on my own.
My therapist thinks I sound like $1 million, and I talked to her about your program. She goes, I can't believe they're changing you.
I've spent thousands on therapy, psychiatrist, just regular clinical therapist, right? Over the years, with my husband, without my husband, since we fought, and I'm not saying it wasn't healing, it was helpful, but to really have this group anchors you in a different way.
I would recommend this over therapy, hands down, because I felt like we had to deal with it and process it with other people that also were going through the same thing. I think, and I had never been in a support group or anything like that before, so I didn't really know what to expect. And then I just felt like when you're just with one person and you're just really focusing on cognitive behavior therapy, so like meditations and stuff, which are great, but that wasn't helping me move forward in the process of what I was trying to get through. So, so I guess everybody's different, but I would hands down recommend something like this over therapy if you're going through a divorce.
Okay, So now we've talked about and heard from a lot of people about how they were able to let go quickly. You've heard what worked for them. You might have noticed that for some people, coaching and community made the biggest difference for them. Others said that the content and community flipped the switch for them. However, what's interesting is that they didn't know exactly what they needed as they started their recovery process. So my suggestion is that you have all three components supporting you. If you do, then your recovery process has a very good chance of working quickly with a minimum of effort, time, and cost. When you combine high quality content, a serious community, and an expert coach, you accelerate your recovery process dramatically. It is possible to let go of someone you love in a graceful, respectful, loving process without wasting lots of time and money. Now that you know how others have let go, let's talk about you. How do you move forward? Well, from here, you have a choice to make. Every day, we have to make choices. The way I see it is that you have three options. One, you can do nothing. You can continue doing what you have been doing and continue to feel the way you do. Two, you can go it alone. You can take the information I've given you and use it to grow and learn as best as possible. And if you're afraid of talking to us about your options, if money is tight, if your situation is tense, please don't let these be reasons that prevent you from getting help. But if you're fiercely independent, if you're determined to figure this out on your own, what has taken us 40 years and thousands of people to build, then I encourage you to do that. Your third option is to accelerate your growth, to make the choice to take this difficult situation and turn it into a life-changing experience, like so many other people you heard from today. So if you want to be happy in just 10 weeks, instead of getting used to the relationship baggage, we may be able to help. If that's the case, click the button and book a call with our team. So what kind of results can you expect? Well, again, I'll let you hear from others as to what they got when they decided to schedule a call.
If someone is considering this course, I would honestly say this course is a life changer, a life healer, and a life progressor. In every aspect of unwinding a relationship that you've had for any length of time. Those are my 3 words for it.
I was a mess. I couldn't get out of my own head there for a while. You know, I was in my own way. I thank you, Nick, everybody. That was a great group we were in. We stay in touch.
I'll never go back to where I was. Like the floor has been raised. Like there's no more ever going down to the basement where I was. I can't go. I mean, even my lowest point is still higher because of all the things I've gone through and worked on so hard.
It really helped me realize that I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was.
Before this all started, or the classes started, he was in my dreams like all the time, and it hasn't stopped, but it's probably down about 90% of what it was before.
At the beginning of the class, right before the class, my therapist had asked me to write down the things that I wanted to be as a woman, as a person in my life. Just describe the kind of woman I wanted to be. And you know what? I couldn't do it. I mean, I put some words down on paper, but I could not do that. And now I can.
I really did feel like it changed me. And that's what I mean. Ultimately, that's the whole idea, is that you're trying to heal and change for the better and not to repeat the same mistakes you've made. I think that's been my biggest hang up, because, it's my second divorce, and, I had essentially it was a rebound relationship that lasted 15 years. So I really think that I got everything that I could have asked for. I got even more information that I didn't know that I didn't know. And I think that's the most valuable part, is that there's just things that you don't even realize
Somebody comes out of this group and says, I didn't get anything out of it, it's because they didn't put anything into it. Like, I don't think there's any way you can take this group, do the homework, do the discussion, and not get anything out of it, because it's exactly what you need to help propel you to get through the bad stuff.
Thank you for everything, and very thankful for this whole program and you and for Nick and everybody else behind the scenes. Allie.
Good.
So
Good.
it was
Well, I'm
very,
glad.
it was very user friendly. It was very, I didn't have to wonder what was going on. I knew.
As much as I'd like to say Rebuilders is for everyone, it's not. So these are the kinds of people we see that benefit the most from the program. One, people willing to invest in themselves. Now, we know that finances are tight, especially due to divorce. Money is renewable, time is not. So for as little as $60, you can start yourself on a path to healing the heartbreak. We also see that people open to coaching benefit the most. If you already know everything, then we can't help you. We find that people that are curious really do well. We have people that have done a lot of self-development and people that haven't. You don't need to know how to do it. That's our job. We teach you unique things you won't get anywhere else. You just have to want the results, and you have to be curious and trust the process. We also see that some of our best students are the ones that describe themselves as lost, struggling, confused, or overwhelmed. We see people at all stages of the divorce process and people with a variety of self-test scores. This program works regardless of where you are or how much you are struggling. And finally, we see that people that are empathic, that are somewhat interested in their thoughts and feelings, will do better than people that are unable to reflect upon themselves or simply don't want to. Now, this can be a skill that's learned if you have the interest in learning it. So, who is this program not for? If you have significant mental illness, then we suggest you seek a therapist or a counselor to deal with these issues, such as PTSD, bipolar disorder, chronic depression, or other diagnosed illnesses. Now, if you have an expert to help you with your illness, then we can work in conjunction with your therapist or counselor. Now, another one is that if you have an addiction and have not sought treatment, then it's recommended that you do that first. We have had people go through the program while dealing with their addiction, and typically it's too much for them to cope with. Our program presents you with tools, information, and support system that can assist you in addiction recovery, but it's not a replacement for it. And finally, if you have no time to do this, then we can't help you. You need to be able to put in 3 to 4 hours a week. It's not a lot. Without a little bit of input on your side, you simply won't get the results. So what doesn't matter? We often have people ask us if they should wait until they're divorced, or maybe they're considering divorce and aren't sure. This doesn't matter. The program is helpful regardless of what stage of the process you're in. It also doesn't matter whether you initiated the divorce or your partner. Maybe it was a mutual decision. It doesn't matter. And finally, people want to know if there's a group just for men or women, or of a certain stage in the process, or sexual orientation, or particular religious beliefs. The answer is no. We do this intentionally. In a world that is trying to divide us, we find that people learn more from people that are not like them. It gives them perspective. For example, if your wife initiated a divorce, it may be helpful for you to be in a course with a woman that initiated a divorce. You can ask her questions, share. She learns from you and you learn from her. It's the same for whatever category you fall into. If you are human, no other category is required. Heartbreak is heartbreak. After you schedule your call, but before we actually talk, we suggest that you take a free divorce adjustment self-test. This will give you a score in 6 key areas of divorce recovery. You will also get free information explaining what your results mean and what you can do about raising them. During your call with us, we will ask you about your situation and what's going on for you. Our goal is to help you figure out the best path forward for you. There is no pressure or obligation to join our program. It's a free service that we provide to help people figure out the best path forward. Remember, we've been where you are, and we know how confusing and lonely this process can be. Also on the call, we will discuss your test results if you took the test. You can ask questions, get guidance, and talk about what you need. If you feel the 10-week program is a good fit for you, then we'll help you find a class schedule that works for you. If finances are a concern for you, then we can talk about a number of ways that you can make the investment manageable for you. And then once you join the class, a number of things happen immediately. First, you get shipped your class materials. Second, you will immediately be able to join our weekly support group where you can meet and talk with others in your class and other classes. Third, you get access to a number of e-courses. These are online courses that give you support immediately. For example, there's a money class, a parenting class, a self-care program, and more. Think of it like your own private Netflix for divorce recovery. Now, once your class begins, you will meet online for 2 hours per week with up to 10 other people in your class. Your class is the same time every week for 10 weeks. Now, the class is recorded, so if you have to miss one, you can still stay caught up. Also, each week you will discuss different topics based on the RIFT system I mentioned earlier. RIFT stands for relationships, identity, feelings, and thinking. The program helps you work through these stages in a logical, structured format, with each week building on the previous week. In these classes, there is a lot of discussion guided by your class facilitator. As you go through the class, you get to know your peers. We encourage you to call someone each week and someone else will call you. This is just one of the ways we build community. Another way is that we can help connect you with people from the program that are near you so that you can have local connections as well. Also, each week, there is reading and videos that you can watch between classes. You will have a little bit of homework, anywhere from 5 minutes to 45 minutes. In class, you will talk about the new tools and information, listen to each other, and ask questions of your group facilitator, your coach. Now, before and while you're in the class, you get free access to our support group. This is a once-a-week group, and it's a more informal place for you to talk to others, ask questions, and get support. Now, if the 10-week group program isn't fit for you, then we will help you find another solution that is a better fit for you. So book a call with us. Many programs and services are available, but we can't help you find the right fit for you if you don't schedule a quick call with us. If you do nothing, nothing will change. Time doesn't heal the grief, anger, or obsessive thinking. We are truly here to help you. We have been there, and our company is committed to helping anyone and everyone as best we can if they are dealing with heartbreak. We regularly have people come to us years after their divorce wishing they would have talked to us sooner. Because if you take the time it takes less time. So listen, you're here because you're suffering. You are here because you are looking for answers. You stayed this long because you needed something. Take the next step. Book a call with us. Don't waste another minute of your life struggling on your own. If you don't do this now, when will you do it? You have nothing to lose. Now, if you already know that you're interested in the group program, please schedule a call now. The classes tend to fill up fast, and the sooner you schedule a call, the sooner we can get you in the next class if that's what you want. And if you're still on the fence, listen to what others like you have to say.
Would I recommend rebuilding to someone else? Yeah. It's that empowering, it's that life-giving. It really did save my life.
If you're thinking about taking Rebuilders, I would say don't hesitate, do it. Even if you think you don't need it, or you think that you're the only one that is going to feel this way, it's not going to help. It's so helpful. It literally changed my life in so many different ways. I can't even tell you, beyond strength and direction, and just truly rebuilt me as a person.
Would I recommend Rebuilders? Yes, 100%. Go do it. Nike commercial.
I would absolutely recommend this course to anybody who is struggling with being newly divorced or being in a relationship that's ended in some way. It is a very valuable experience, more so than I thought it would be. And it helped in ways that I didn't even know I needed help. So I would definitely recommend taking the Rebuilders course.
And my life has become so rich, and I go home every night grateful that I'm me.
Rebuilders set me off like just on a path of being able to handle whatever life brings your way. And I've had some ups and downs and some pretty low downs. But I climb out of them because I know that I can do it. And it's helped me rebuild with my kids and regrouping our family. And just strength for finding a new job, finding a new house to live in. And like I said, regrouping my kiddos. Yeah.
I think I can be more grateful and more present with him now than I have been for years, and able to co-parent our children in a more peaceful and cooperative and collaborative way by being able to let go of some of the stuff that I was holding on to through my marriage. And also just to realize that I can just set it down and walk away and not let him trigger me or get under my skin, and just let him be the person he's going to be and not have to be involved in that anymore. I can just let him do his thing and I can do my thing, and I think we're going to be better friends after all this as a result of this course for me. It'd be good if he could take it too.
I would tell them to do it. I do think I did receive benefit. I think you maximize your benefit if you're doing it well, either right after or in the thick of it, just to help you maintain your sanity through the whole process, because during my process, I just relied on friends and family, which were very helpful. And my hindsight is it would have been nice to have a group like this to go through it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it for someone who's in the thick of things or struggling, and, offer it up as a good option.
It's easy to let time heal it rather than actually being cognizant of what's going on within you in the early stages, be it, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever months. Because if you ignore it, it's just like anything else. It's just like the relationship, right? You're just throwing dirt on it and thinking it's going to go away, and it's obviously not, right? And then it's just going to propel. So all this stuff. I would totally, I would totally recommend it. If for no other reason. But again, I'm a big thing to say, listen, you're only going to get out of it what you put in, and you really got to, it's not even a lot, but you really got to, spend 40 minutes or an hour or whatever it is prior to, and at least read. You can kind of half-ass it during the 2-hour class and read some of your homework if you wanted to, right? And she's never going to know, or you're not going to know because I'm sitting here doing it while we're talking. No, seriously. I mean, let's be truthful, but you got to read it. Yeah. But you got to read it because there's some poignant stuff in some of that. Like I said, I was highlighting, and then I had to change my highlighter because it was bleeding through. And next thing you know, I was ruining the book.
If they're, in a place where they're really struggling and hurting, and it's definitely worth it. If they're, I don't know. I think it's definitely worth it for most people, probably. If they're doing pretty good and they're not struggling too much, and they feel like their life is all together, then I might say just, it's not as necessary. But for people that are in a lot of pain, I would definitely recommend it, because I don't think anybody in our class said it wasn't worth it. Anybody I've talked to, they all felt like it was well worth it. So.
I would highly recommend it. I actually have highly recommended it
everybody in my group is relatively new to the divorce world. I'm not. I've been there for a while, and yet it was still beyond helpful in so many different ways. And even though some had only been recently divorced, some hadn't even been divorced yet, and I've been divorced for 2.5 years, we all still had many, many, many things in common that we could use to support each other with. So yeah, I'm not bashful about recommending it.
I can't recommend this class enough. I would absolutely say, look, do it. It's worth the money. You're going to learn enough about yourself. You're going to have a better understanding of you and your spouse and how to move forward from this and be better equipped to move forward from this than you would be without it.
I don't know what else I could say. I highly recommend it. I mean, I just don't feel like I would be doing so well emotionally and being able to function this as soon as I was and doing now. I just don't think that I would be doing well or be so hopeful for my future,
I've given the book away now, and I have recommended the course 5 times now. I've sent the link to my divorce attorney.
It very quickly became a highlight to my week was Monday night, when I got to get on this call and talk about horrible things and how, these just heartbreaking things that I was looking forward to getting together and having other people to talk to about it. And so I haven't been recommending it enough to my friend. And I think it was extremely valuable, I think, for everybody in the class, even the people who admittedly said they were skeptical. They all, by the end, were sad to see us go and praising the experience that they had.
I would highly recommend it to anybody who's struggling.
I've really I have a cousin going through a divorce, and I'm like, this class is amazing. Like, I will recommend it to anybody. It really is. I never dreamed it would be so good, but it was and I'm glad each week, it covered a different subject, a different topic, and maybe I didn't think I had an issue with it, but when you get to diving into it and talking about it, maybe there was a little bit of an issue there and you just didn't realize it. There's a lot of areas of divorce that you don't actually realize that you might need to learn from or heal from, that this class actually taught me.
I would highly recommend this to anyone. Anyone. I just would. It made a world of difference for me. It really, truly did.
I would tell them go for it, because they're going to learn about themselves. They're going to learn how to handle things inside of themselves better, and it will help them. Everybody's different and comes from, different strengths, levels of strength, but and I know mine is on the weaker side, so to speak. Because I just have this forever hope that I just can't seem to get rid of. But I think I would advise them, go for it. I think that the support, the advice, the things brought up, you're relating to completely, and you don't even know you're going through some of those things really. But when the Nick does go through them, you realize, yeah, I do. I do feel that. I didn't know I felt it, but yes, I do feel that. Or I do need help in this area. I do think that it would help me if I got stronger in this area, and then this is how to do it. And I think we had a great class too. Some were very open, in their verbalization of how they felt. And that was like a freedom because, and it's not normally the way I would talk, but the anger makes me talk in a certain way. Another one would just be so had it all together and such a great note taker and didn't forget anything, you know, and I think there were just a lot of strengths in there that made it a great class.
I think everyone can benefit from it, whether you've just been through a divorce or not. There's just so much we can still learn about ourselves and so much we can improve. And it really is possible to just have a better life, a calmer life, a more loving life, just to be happier. So even if you haven't gone through the trauma of a divorce, I think it's a great investment in yourself.
I would recommend it because it's been my experience that I got a lot out of this class. I'm a different person today from, I can believe 10 weeks ago already. Time just passed by so fast. But I would really recommend it to anybody who's going through this situation because it's good for you. I mean, look at me. I'm a different person. I am happy. So
I would say it does work. It really does work. It doesn't work on its own. It requires doing the homework, doing the reading, interacting on the phone, engaging in class. But ultimately, it really does, it draws you in, and it's effective because it's logical. You know, and it's clear that the process has worked, and there's a logic to it. You know, so much of time in divorce and, you know, before and after is just chaos. And I think it gives that framework really gives you something to sink your teeth into, and that framework to understand what's going on and understand yourself, you know, kind of know your own heart. But I think, you know, if anyone were wondering if it's worth the money, it absolutely is. You know, you get undivided attention of a bunch of people, and, you know, and Nick, and he's just great, very wise. So it's absolutely, I'd recommend it to anybody that's gone through this sort of thing.
What would you say to other people considering the course that are on the fence?
I would say, you know, it's that whole, like, what have you got to lose kind of thing, you know, and at this point, it's, you know, it's yes, some money and yes, some time, you know, and those things are valuable. But at the same time, like, losing your sanity is not okay, especially if you have kids. Like, you can't, it's not feasible. It's not an option. And, you know, doing this in conjunction with therapy and other things is great. But, like, even just doing this alone, yeah,